Cancer. So I am actually going to approach your reading a little bit differently, because I think it's important actually to focus on the last card that came out first in order to understand the flow of this scenario that's currently going on in your life. So the last card that we have, card number 49, underneath the Hangman in reverse, skywriting and the fates. I really feel like August is probably a pretty life-altering month for you in terms of the decisions that you make, in terms of the epiphanies that occur to you this month. There could be some really drastic changes in your thinking, in your environment, but all kind of leading to these things that are very fated. Now, what I do want to say to you first and foremost, Cancer, is this is not a month in which you should feel like you are in control. This is not a month for you to like dictate the outcomes. So it's important from the get-go, and I think inevitable, that we release any form of expectations. Because in the expectations is where we could waste time. We could waste time making things try to work that aren't going to work. We could get really like obsessed. Now remember, we've got Pluto opposing you this month. We've got some aspects with Pluto, and this is like the area of life where we can like get obsessed with this thing has to be this way, or it has to look this way, or it has to feel this way. And the universe is kind of like, yeah, okay. As soon as you let that go, it's going to turn out to be what it's truly meant to be, which means it's going to accelerate you on your path of destiny. And the more we drag our feet or try to turn it into something we think we want it to be, really the less productive the month becomes. So what I'm going to do is read to you from the book this actual card, because I think it really captures the essence of the entire month as a whole. And I think if this is the only thing you listen to in this reading, then, embody this the most and understand that all of the ups and downs and curves that get thrown your way is truly leading you to this moment. Skywriting, the fates, and that which we cannot change, and non-judgment. It is written in the sky that you have a destiny. You are being invited to explore certain aspects of life unique to you and you alone. That does not mean that your path will be easy, paved with gold and littered with diamonds. Nor does this predict that your journey will be treacherous. It is just your path, with parts that cannot be changed and must be radically accepted as they are. In this way, whatever you are faced with, every single aspect of your life is perfect in its imperfection. Not good or bad, neither in flow nor blocked, this nor that. See your life as a series of opportunities rather than an obstacle course. Once you master the skill of non-judgment, you open to the power of curiosity, unencumbered by the burdens of yesterday's fear as you look ahead into potential of the future. Yes, you still need to be brave. Right now you are facing a critical moment in time with an opportunity to meet your fate. A choice point where you expand your influence and your capacity for abundance, love, and purposeful action. Now is the moment to leap into it, whether it be a heart connection, a call to creativity, or a new identity in your work, or another area of life. With all of your heart and soul, your success is surely written in the stars. In order to bring your destiny to fruition, you must jump into the adventure with both feet and do your part. It feels so profound to me, because I think that in a way, Cancer, you've been operating from a place of safety, right? We do this in our lives, and especially, like, God knows, the Cancers have been through it, right? Hosting that whole Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter conjunction and all of 2020's Capricorn energy in your 7th house of partnerships. Like, there's no doubt, especially with Pluto being there for the past 8 or 9 years, there's no doubt that you've become adjusted with the idea of keeping yourself safe. And sometimes we could keep ourselves in places of safety because of the losses or the hurts, because of the risks that didn't work out. And especially as we get older, right? Like, we don't really need to relive all of that drama. And we find like this really calm place. I know this for me in particular. We just find this calm place, and we can kind of stay there. And I think that Cancer's been staying there for a while. And I think for a lot of you, it has served its purpose in gold. Because I think you got yourself to a place of getting your power back. Place of sovereignty, where other people's struggles or other people's indecisions or their lack of commitment, their lack of loyalty, like, it all helped you to get to a place of solidity in yourself. And I see that with the Page of Pentacles. I see that there's this solid thing that you're holding, this one precious piece of the puzzle, right? Page of Pentacles. And for me, this is about maintaining balance. But because it's a page, it also means that we can't stay in the solid place forever, because the universe wants us to experience the new things, right? Like, if you can kind of equate this to being on a really strict diet for so long, right? Like, you knew that you were having certain food allergies, but you weren't quite sure exactly what it was. So you just cut out everything other than very natural, clean foods. And this maintained your health. It maintained your strength for a very long time. And yet, you know, and this is what I'm telling everybody, August is about getting you to experience life. It's about shaking you out of the comfort zones and saying, yeah, but there's something better. Yeah, but there's more that you're meant to experience. And maybe now Cancer needs to start kind of extending their palette, taking a few risks, trying those things, starting to introduce other elements. And maybe these elements are kind of like not in your wheelhouse at all. Maybe these are things that are very sort of unusual in a lot of ways. Now we have Aquarius energy, the second full moon, and Jupiter moving back into your 8th house. Emphasis on 8th house, the idea of sharing with others. And if you are a Cancer who has been playing it very safe, and therefore, you know, in this place of not letting other people like really truly affect you in any way, August is going to show you how and why it's time to start dipping your toes in the water again. Now, your environment is that of the Magician. And when this card comes out, in the environment or situation position, it simply means that you are probably being manifested by another being, right? So here's another level of you not really being in this control structure. Now, with the Magician here, also an emphasis on that Virgo, Mercury kind of stuff. Now we've got, You know, the sun moving through Leo in your second house and then into Virgo in your third, Mercury making its way through your second and then third house. There could be a lot of mirroring going on here. And I think that the Magician here definitely represents an external person or thing that is creating a scenario that which you are involved in some way. Now, quite honestly, this could be like somebody who is interested in you, work, love, friendship wise, but it does indicate that there is a deep yearning and wanting here. And probably when this kind of energy is occurring, you, being the Cancer that you are probably at the very least feeling this energy, right? Because it may not be like outward. Like the Magician is very quiet energy. This isn't somebody that walks into the room and that says, hey, you, let's commit. Let's sign the contract. Let's start this thing. This is a much more quieter, isolated energy. Somebody probably sitting, you know, somewhere thinking about you, thinking about the way that you look, the way that you act, the things that you do, the qualities that you bring to the table, and wanting to make this more secure or available to them. And I think that all Cancers will be able to feel that pull. And really the Pentacle is kind of your ability, as it comes up here, Page of Pentacles, is your willingness to invest in this. Now, there's very good reason to hesitate on the investment. Starting out here, we have the Four of Wands and the Eight of Cups. And the Four of Wands, to me, always represents our expectations. And the Four of Wands is always a card of stability. It's also a card of celebration. And it could, you know, like Four of Wands, this is every bit of Leo season. This is kind of the epitome of summertime. And the focus being on like getting together with friends, being very social, being out and about, meeting new people, you know, just really being open to life's joys. But there is something that happens between Leo season and Virgo season that makes us get very real about life. Now, for some of you, this could be like that really great relationship that comes in, or that person that really like checks all the boxes. You could really see this going somewhere because you just have so much fun together. There's always a level of enjoyment and excitement, you know. And then Virgo season, we all get the urge to like figure out, where is this going? What's the big long-term plan here? And does it fit who I truly am? And I think this is where the struggle is going to occur. Now we've got this adjustments are required third quarter moon. Now, because it's a third quarter moon, it means we're coming really close to a decision. And sometimes the closer we get to the decision, the farther we actually are from it. Sometimes we can overthink, we could overanalyze, we could start to feel like this is so much more complicated than just feeling good. Now, also for some of you, there is a level of commitment here, and there is a very deep fear behind that. I think for some of you, this Four of Wands may represent a new home or a new relationship, but solidifying this relationship, taking it to the next level, moving in together, buying a house together, getting engaged in some way. There's this happy part of the commitment, and then there's the fear that lurks within it. But I always say when the Eight of Cups comes up, you don't really have a whole lot of choice about it. Because this is fated, as talked about in this card down here, your heart is being pulled, your soul. Sometimes we could think we want something. Sometimes we could think that it's going to go in a certain scenario, or this really it just makes so much sense. And yet there's like that part of us that's like, but I don't know if this is really it. And there's something here about a separation or a loss because you yourself are separated or lost from who you are. Now we can get here because of our past. We could get here because of the hurts. Like obviously we build a resilience. Now, I was just talking to Gemini. We did this Gemini reading, and I had talked about like I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, Cancer. I'm going to move down here. It will come back, I promise, to the Death Valley card. I am resilient, there is hope, and there can be success through hardship. Now, it doesn't mean that there's hardship. It doesn't even necessarily mean that any of this has to be hard. But it does mean that we're going to have to do some work on ourselves before we can acknowledge the potential of this. This might be different for all of you, Cancers. This might really play out differently depending on where you are in your process. Now, for some of you, there is this really beautiful thing occurring that's really starting to pull you in, starting to make you feel like this is part of your path. And yet this isn't really something that you want to do necessarily. Now we have this card here of discipline and time. Definitely an essence of time. And then there's this moving into the unknown. We've got the Seven of Cups, meaning there's really no guarantee. So this is a risk. Further emphasis on the Two of Swords, which is oftentimes indecision. And the truth is the decision is hard to make because of the fear. Now she has a water to her back. This man is putting the water to his back. He's turning away from these cups, which represent emotional fulfillment. And I think there's a part of you that feels the emotional fulfillment of this scenario and yet still longs to walk away from it. And I do think that some of my Cancers are just tired. And I think for some of my Cancers, they feel like any form of an emotional commitment is just simply too much. Too much on their systems, too complicated, really bad timing. And there's an element of wanting to acknowledge the beauty of this, and yet still hoping you could simply move away when need be. In other words, this was great for right now. This was great for this summer. But now I want to focus somewhere else. And I just get the feeling that there is an unwillingness for Cancer to kind of get in the water. However, Cancer, No matter how practical and realistic you are about this. Page of Pentacles. Here we've got card number 41, discipline and time. Page of Pentacles here. Like there's Cancer trying to maintain their practical reality. And yet the Two of Swords is surrounded by water. And this is your unwillingness to look at these emotions. And I get the feeling for some of you, Cancer, I get the feeling that you really have no idea I just picked up on something. That you have no idea how truly loved you are. How truly safe you are. See, here you are protecting yourself. Here you are kind of looking like in the wrong direction, right? Like if I was here in this place, I would want to look out and gaze out at the sea and all of the beauty. The way the moon, your emotions, is kind of dictating this kind of glass-like water, meaning the water is calm, and yet you are still in a place of self-protection mode. And yet we have yellow shoes here, we have yellow shoes here, and we have yellow shoes with the Hangman. And that here I am drawn to the red shoes. Red is often an invitation to take action. Yellow is often a gift, and this is a solar plexus. And I think your practicality is a gift this month to keep your feet on the ground, because for one, we don't want to get taken away by our expectations, right? This Seven of Cups can often represent like this fantasy. All that glitters is gold. This innate belief that everything will be okay, everything is perfect. We have all of these options available to us. But there is still something that we're not looking at. And because we've got this discipline and time here, you're going to feel like you need to make a decision on this. Now, Uranus going retrograde in your 11th house, I think is going to feel pretty powerful this month. Could really knock our security, as well as all of this Aquarius energy in your 8th house going on. And the thing is, in the 8th house, we don't really get a choice to play it safe. And Uranus in the 11th is a pretty magical place, because the universe can really hand you some beautiful opportunities. And these are opportunities that coincide with your emotional freedom. And I don't see Cancer feeling emotionally free. I see you maintaining a level of control, but I don't see you experiencing like true emotional freedom, which often comes through intimacy. And in very positive scenarios, these situations occur when we're feeling safe. Right? When we're with somebody that we love and trust, and we could say those things, and we can be ourselves, and we could discuss our fears, and there is no judgment. And I'm not so sure that there is anyone in your environment that is judging you more harshly than you, Cancer. See, I don't think that fear really comes from anybody else at all. Now, it may come from past scenarios, right? And 2021, we're breaking through those fears. We're not going to carry that baggage anymore, which means we have to approach situations differently. And I think by mid-month, you make the decision to invest. Now, it's a Page of Pentacles. We're not investing. This isn't really like an engagement ring or moving in together, but it's an investment first and foremost in yourself. Now, if you are not here for love, this investment is in learning something new. Okay? You've been in a job or a situation for a long time. It has served its purpose. It has given you the ability to live the good life, and yet you know there's something more. We have all these doubts and fears, and sometimes this Two of Swords can represent kind of like the imposter syndrome, where we don't really feel like we're worthy of it. There's opportunities coming towards us now. There are people manifesting what we have to offer. Okay? The environment, the universe is bringing you situations and scenarios that are very fated to your path. Did you ever hear the phrase, don't look a gift horse in the mouth? I'm really still not sure exactly what that means, but that's what this feels like. And the universe is probably handing you something really beautiful. And it's sort of like, seriously? And the thing about it is that it kind of undermines all of the hard lessons you've had to learn so far, right? Don't invest in your heart. Don't get your expectations too high. Don't rely on other people. And yet here we are, the universe is handing us the external situation, the other person, and we're like, maybe. And I wouldn't be surprised if you are in a maybe by mid-August. Still a little undecided. Page of Pentacles, willing to dip the toe in, willing to have some of the conversations, willing to entertain some of the plans, yet not fully committed. And what happens when we are not really fully committed is that the universe kind of amps up the gas pedal. The universe is going to demand discipline, time. It's going to demand that you start to allocate your resources wisely. And I think for you, for a long time, allocating your resources towards things like love and relationships wasn't all that smart. You know, even if this is just like a hobby of some sort. Maybe if some of you are learning like this new skill and it really in no way, shape, or form is there a practical purpose for it, right? Maybe it's something off the wall. Maybe you're learning about tarot and all of a sudden this hobby becomes something that you really, really enjoy, and yet there's this part of you that's like, okay, like this isn't like a real thing. And when you start to deny that thing that's coming in, that path towards your destiny, the universe is going to make you feel uncomfortable. And that's what the Seven of Cups and this card number 7, into the unknown, is. This is you having to get uncomfortable because you cannot play it safe anymore. 9 of Wands underneath. This is you guarding yourself. This is you guarding your heart. Because you've been wounded, because you've been through the bad scenarios. So you really have no actual evidence that this thing that this other person is manifesting or trying to bring to you will be any different. And so you're only willing to invest a little bit. And when you're only willing to invest a little bit, the universe starts to pull back. And it starts to give you a lot of lessons. And this is what I mean about don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Still not really sure what it means. But this is you confronting all of that confusion within you. See, the thing about the Seven of Cups, you know, we always view it as like not really knowing what's in the cup, and yet clearly we know what's in the cup. Clearly you can see what each option has to offer. Some much more beautiful than others. And I love that the Seven of Cups is here next to the Hanged Man in reverse, because I think it is an indication that you're going to start to see the other options clearly and through an emotional lens. This is you starting to tune in to what the universe is truly offering you. And so you have to be willing to acknowledge that some of these options are full of blessings and some are not. Some of these options are really beautiful options, and some are more of an appeal towards your primal instinct, or more of an appeal towards your ego. And so it's a good way to kind of frame all of August, you know, especially because we're saying in the Magician, the card of Mercury, this can all be very judgmental, trying to judge other people, but we're judging them through a mirror of how we judge ourselves. We're judging them through a mirror of the past partners or the past opportunities, and that's not really fair. And yet there's this other side, there's this other option where we kind of tap into our intuition, where we kind of tap in and we allow our soul to speak to us. So remember, regardless of how much you try, you are being led by the soul this month. You are being led toward your fate. So even though you might want to maintain a sense of control, you simply do not have any control whatsoever. And ultimately, the universe wants you to take that risk. Wants you to move into the unknown. And that's what that 8th house is all about. It's about the alchemy, about turning the past pain and the past hurts and the past traumas into your own personal power. And from that place, you can trust yourself, giving you the strength, Page of Pentacles, to dip your toe in the water. Now, I'm not saying that August is going to be all in. I'm just saying that what might start out as something very casual, non-serious, may turn into something much bigger if you allow for that epiphany, if you allow for that inspiration. And the Hanged Man in reverse is one of my favorite cards when it comes out in reverse, because that is of divine inspiration. This is the emotional awakening. Again, these yellow shoes, these are decisions that come intuitively to you that make you take action. And these are gifts. A gift of strength, a gift of, I mean, for some of you, this could even come in the form of a dream. A dream that makes you wake up and realize the things that you truly want and how you're holding yourself back from them in forms of risk aversion. But what I do want to, really focus on here more than anything is this Magician card, because I think this is a really powerful energy of the universe kind of working its magic on you. And although I like a Page of Pentacles, the last thing that you want to do is be stubborn in your energy. Underneath this Nine of Wands, we have the 10 of Wands and the Knight of Cups. You are slowly and surely doing the hard work, going through the scenarios that are leading you to open your heart. This is super uncomfortable energy. At first, you're not going to want to do it. But the more you resist, the harder it's going to be. because this means we're at the end of this cycle. You're acknowledging the end of all of this. See the past pain, the past hurt, the past disappointments. It all led you somewhere. It all led you to this point, to this path, to this point of destiny. It got you to this point of being done with all of those old storylines and scenarios. But there's something very different about this Knight of Cups, because he gives without needing to receive anything in return. These are the big emotional declarations of love. This is you falling in love, allowing yourself to fall in love, allowing yourself to feel vulnerable, saying the things that you feel without it being an actual threat to you in some way. And this is definitely a warning that you cannot be a miser with your emotions. And eventually, this part of you is going to have to give, because this part of you comes from a place of scarcity. It comes from a place of feeling like if you were to allow these feelings to come out, that there's no chance the other person would feel the same way. You know, if you would really allow yourself to fall in love with this new hobby or this new thing that you're doing, but you've already convinced yourself that this could never be like a full-time gig. It could never be enough to like pay the bills. And those are so self-limiting. Like all of that is so self-limiting. See, we love the things that we love because they're meant for us, right? We don't really question it. Like, you know, you could just love dogs. And so you grow up and you get your own place, and then you get a dog. You don't really question yourself like, am I qualified to have a dog? Am I good enough to have a dog? Like, no, you just get it because you love it, and that thing becomes such an important part of your life because it was meant for you, because it was meant to be with you in a time where maybe that's all you really had. I don't know why I'm talking about dogs and horses here, but, you know, I do pick up an emphasis on Cancer starting to get some renewed hope and love in the form of other people, not having to be so protective of self anymore. And trusting that because you're entering a new cycle, and because you're entering a new phase, and because you have all of this wisdom from your past, that you realize this is not reliving your past. This is inviting you to enrich your future. And it becomes a lot less scary. All right, Cancer. Really beautiful reading. I'm going to leave it there. I do hope you guys have a really wonderful month, and I will talk to you again very soon. Take care, guys.